If you enjoy the following clip from my podcast, please like, subscribe, and head over to the full episode of The Backseat Fighter, the most honest, most thoughtful, and certainly the best MMA podcast in the game. My name's Charles Binns. Thank you for watching. But moving on to the co-main event now, this was the fight I was most excited for. I was watching with a lot of Brazilians in the room, and obviously I'd met Michael Chandler during fight week. So, I was so excited to see this fight, to see Michael Chandler perform after 2 years of inactivity due to the complications he had in the lead ups to the fights with Conor McGregor, or at least the one officially signed fight with Conor McGregor. And obviously Charles Oliveira is one of the most electrifying, most entertaining lightweights, probably one of the greatest fighters to ever grace the octagon, most finishes, most bonuses, the most fan-friendly fighter, I think. It must be said, and if I can, I'll put some footage in. Every time Charles came out at a press conference or at the weigh-ins, he got the biggest pop in the crowd. He got the most attention, the most applause, and it's fully deserved, obviously. But let's go into this fight. I think I was definitely expecting Charles to come out more aggressive. I said in my predictions that in the Arman Sarukian fight, he looked a little bit hesitant or just trying to be a bit more controlled, which is not Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira is a killer. Charles Oliveira goes for you. Whether that's on the feet or on the ground, he's going to try and finish you every single second of the fight, and that's why he's one of the best ever. And he came out with that intention. He put the pressure on Michael Chandler from very, very early, able to get his back over and over again. And to be fair to Michael Chandler, he did a great job at defending the chokes, defending the rear naked chokes, and that Charles Oliveira was trying to cinch in under the neck. And was able to survive the submission attempts of Charles Oliveira, which is not an easy feat by any means for the guy that has the most submissions in UFC history. I thought that Michael Chandler, let me start on Charles for a second. I thought Charles looked great. I thought his shot selection was great. He showed great attention to go to the body and kind of pin Michael Chandler up against the fence and make him stand right in the pocket with him and just trade. And Charles is a bit more technical and technically sound and crisper with his shot. So when you're standing in the pocket, I think Charles is always going to win that battle. But Michael Chandler, my goodness, if he hits you, you are going to feel it. And, after 4 rounds of domination by Charles the Bronx Oliveira, landing shots on Michael Chandler, getting him to the ground, threatening submissions, beating him up over and over again, tiring him out, Michael Chandler comes out in the 5th round and absolutely puts a remontada, a kind of almost comeback performance on against Charles Oliveira. And very similar to their first fight for the title, he almost gets Charles Oliveira out of there. I don't remember if he exactly drops him, but he's beating him up. Charles Oliveira's on the ground, and the ground and pound of Michael Chandler is vicious, very, very vicious. But he was landing a lot of shots to the back of the head, which at one point I thought, because the ref wasn't stepping in, which is illegal for people watching, you can't hit people in the back of the head. I thought the referee was going to step in, and at no point did he look to do so. And so I thought at one point, at least me and the people watching did, that Charles Oliveira was going to be TKO'd. But as in classic Charles fashion, he takes the damage, gets back up, and is able to finish the round on Michael Chandler's back. And in classic Michael Chandler fashion, he leaps backwards with Charles Oliveira on his back. He leaps all the way back, smashing Charles on the ground. He screams "F it" before doing so in the most entertaining fashion, gets up and does it one more time before the final bell goes and the fight is over. Michael Chandler, the 2 years of inactivity, I think, it definitely did wonders for him in terms of his ability to endure damage. And I think he was in great shape. I think he stayed disciplined throughout those 2 years, and it showed immense ability to come out in that 5th round, immense cardio to come out in the 5th round, push the pace and almost finish Charles Oliveira in that 5th round. But more than anything, I think that inactivity kind of showed in terms of he didn't seem to have that timing. And, when he hurt Charles, when Michael Chandler hurt Charles, he kind of lands a huge shot, and in classic Michael Chandler fashion, just goes guns blazing and throws a left hook so wildly that it actually takes him all the way down to his own knees. He kind of falls over with the force of the punch, and at that point, he kind of loses momentum, I believe, and it doesn't quite capitalize on the fact that Charles Oliveira was very hurt in that situation. I think Charles Oliveira did a great job to win that fight. He's back now as the number one contender. He's going to fight for the title again. And, you know, for him with a newborn, I think it's a newborn son, a newborn kid, he's got that reinvigorated enthusiasm and motivation to go out there and win a championship again. You know, it must be said, you know, that Charles revealed that he came into this fight with bad knee injuries. I think it's torn ligaments in his knee. He wasn't even able to train for the last 15 or 20 days. He was just doing weight training. And, you know, the resilience that Charles Oliveira continues to show and the dominance and the elite world-class fighter that he is just so impressive. For Michael Chandler next, I think he called out Max Holloway for the BMF title. Excuse me. And of course, he called out Conor McGregor yet again. And we still love to see that Conor McGregor fight. I think that's the level that Conor McGregor, if he is ever going to fight again, he needs to come back at is, you know, fight like a top 10 lightweight, which Michael Chandler is. And that's going to be an entertaining fight regardless. But I do not believe that Conor McGregor is ever coming back to fighting. I refuse to be optimistic about it at this point, because as a fan of the sport, we obviously want Conor McGregor here, but we keep getting let down. And as media, as fans, you want to see Conor McGregor in the octagon, regardless of, you know, opinions about him out there. So for Charles, it's the winner of Arman or Islam next. And I'm obviously, well, at this moment, I'm predicting that Islam will win that fight. So we're going to see a rematch that should have taken place already before Volkanovski had to step in and take that head kick, unfortunately. But yes, that was the co-main event, an amazing fight. And Charles "The Bronx" Oliveira comes out with a dominant win over Michael Chandler, even though Michael Chandler had that moment